what's the point of this? Like, who cares about this AI? All it can do is like paperwork. And I was like, but the government is mostly paperwork.
Yeah.
So like, it's, to be able to do that, 30% faster, like that can actually have a huge impact. Like, even if we wanted it to take your job, I don't think it can. Like, it's just not good enough.
Can we really trust AI?
Right now, no. And the reason why is because we don't have any way to test it. And that's a problem, because if we don't have a way to test it, then you can't guarantee it won't do, and all sorts of like really bad behaviors.
Look, you probably have a Security Plus, maybe even a security clearance, and nobody taught you how to write poems, or how to test a security control, or submit an ATO package. I'm Chris Okpala. A few years ago, I was in your shoes, qualified on paper, but completely lost when it came to RMF. I had the degree, I had the certs, I had the drive, and when somebody said how to test the AC2 control or validate stick bindings, I had no clue what that actually looked like. Fast forward 5 years, I worked across DoD and federal agencies, led control assessments, written ATO package, and passed audits. That's why I built RMF Academy, to teach you the real-world execution they don't cover in certification books. Inside, I'll show you how to write a poem and don't get bashed back. Test and validate security controls, translate tech jargon, navigate NIST 853, and RMF with confidence. If you're in IT supporting the government systems or stuck on the edge of cybersecurity, this is your way. The people who go through my training don't just get hired, they hit the ground running because they practice the work before day one. Go to rmfacademy.io and let's get to work.
Welcome everybody to another edition of the Tech Woke Podcast. I am your host, Chris, an information system security officer inside the GovTech space. And in today's podcast, we have a great guest. We have Glenn Parham. He is a person that has made history in the DoD space. He is the first generative AI tech lead. He's also a tech founder of Pundit Analytics. He's also an entrepreneur. He went to UC Berkeley. And without further ado, Glenn, how you doing?
Thanks for having me, man. Appreciate it.
Yeah, I'm glad we was able to get you on the podcast. I know we were just talking nerdy stuff about podcasts and things. So
yeah.
I'm glad to have you on.
It's great. I love podcasts. You're able to, get into depth about these topics and communicate it. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah, and so when my boy introduced me, I was just following you for a long time. I was like, I wanted to reach out to you for a long time.
Yeah, I've seen your stuff, yeah.
But when you say you started your podcast, I was like, yeah, it's my opportunity.
Yeah.
So let me get on. So we linked up. So I'm glad we had we were able to make it happen. So
yeah, this is my first main interview I think I've ever had. So I'm excited. I'm honored to be here. So
I got you. So we're gonna make some magic work.
Cool.
So tell me about your early experience in generative AI. So you started with your analytics company, Pundit Analytics, right? So can you kind of break down what it is and how did you get into it?
Yeah, so went to UC Berkeley, was studying data science and computer science. Context is went to Berkeley a couple weeks after I get there. President Trump's first term, he was elected, so the campus was very politically charged. And I wasn't passionate necessarily about advocacy, but just analyzing politics, the discourse, how polarized things could be, things like that. And this was almost a decade ago now. And so at that time, I was technical, I was a data scientist, computer scientist, started a research organization at Berkeley called Political Computer Science. It's actually now one of the largest clubs, research organizations at Berkeley, which is super cool. They even have a whole major around. It's a whole thing. I spun off a startup from that, just focused on using technically AI to analyze politics. And then I started using the first version of GPT. So in ChatGPT, the GPT, that AI capability back in 2018, 2019, it was trash. So
that's what I heard.
Yeah, it was not helpful at all. But I saw where things were directionally going. And that's what started to get me nervous over time as it got better and better. I was like, what, I was using it in politics, but what is the government doing about it? And I went to AI.gov at the time, back in 2020 or 2021, and the website was down. There was no website. And I was like, oh, I don't know if the government knows what it's doing with this AI stuff. And yeah, that's what kind of convinced me to want to go and get into government, at least for a few years at the Pentagon.
And that's amazing because I'm gonna tie back into your startup is because with politics, we don't know what's real, we don't know what's fake.
Yeah.
So that's a great company. And I heard with GPT-1, you couldn't even use it. Like you had to actually code to be able to use. That's what I've heard.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. There was no like ChatGPT, nice website. You had to code everything up yourself, basically. It could literally barely put two words together that were coherent. So it was like, it was cool, kind of, but you were like, you couldn't use it for anything. I do wish that back when I was doing that, like we had the AI models that we have today. I'm like, oh my God, I could have done so much cooler stuff. But it's, yeah, it's just funny to see how bad those models were even just a few years ago compared to what they are now.
Yeah, now it's creating books,
Yep.
videos. And it's a secret of mine. I create images with ChatGPT
Yeah,
now.
yeah,
It's
same.
crazy.
It's insane. Yeah.
So okay, so you're working. You did your startup. You did an exit, or you just
Yeah, we got acquired. So I was in Berkeley with my two co-founders, and we got acquired by one of the DC's like largest public affairs firms.
amazing.
And these firms, they like to analyze and monitor politics and stuff like that. So that's why they acquired us, and that's what brought me out here to DC, or the DMV.
Okay, so you out here, from Cal, you're from
Yeah.
Cal, you're here, and this is when you start making the transition to the government. So you got into the
Yeah.
government. Of course, you already been working with AI. And,
Yeah.
that was a good mix. Can you kind of explain like ANI? What is ANI?
So ANI is there's different types of artificial intelligence. There's like artificial narrow intelligence, so that narrow AI. There's general artificial intelligence, and then there's what people are talking about like artificial super
And
intelligence,
that's the big one.
and that's where things are kind of going. On the narrow side, that's what's been really the state of the art for the past few decades, or especially the past decade in like national security, where you would be able to use AI for like very specific tasks. Like, Wall-E, the movie Wall-E?
Yeah,
It's
Wall-E.
it's one of my favorite movies. Like the way I describe it is like this, Wall-E the robot, like making that cube of trash, does that really, really well and can do it like 10 million times. That's like narrow AI. And national security, that means like using computer vision to analyze satellite imagery, pick out like a truck from a photo, things like that.
Okay, so that's where we're at right now. And I think, is it the same thing as generative AI, or is this two different things?
So there's general AI and generative AI. They all sound the same, so they need to do a better job with branding it. But generative AI just literally refers for the ability for AI to generate like text or code or images, things like that. When we say general AI, what that refers to, in Google's definition of it, is AI that is able to do any kind of intellectual or cognitive task that a human can do. So if you're sitting at your computer and doing paperwork all day or translating stuff, that all of these different tasks, if that would be considered AGI. And there's a big debate right now as to whether we are either like about to achieve AGI tomorrow or in like 50 years. I think we're nearing the corner. We're going to hit that like in the next couple of years, but some people are like, no, it's 100 years away. So
We got that understanding now. So
Yeah.
ANI specific, AGI is almost smarter than humans.
Yeah.
You got ASI, which is super intelligence, and we're going to be in sci-fi. Got you.
yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the way the government is working, we on ANI. How do you think the government can utilize it specifically, or where do you think it can go with that right now?
So on the narrow side, I would say up until over the past decade, there's this really big, probably one of the largest AI projects, at least in like the Department of Defense, something called Project Maven. And that's been using computer vision to analyze satellite imagery and drones in the context of the Ukraine conflict. That's been really huge. Drones have been a really, really important thing in Ukraine. So to be able to use computer vision to like detect different objects and tanks and when a bridge is blown up and things like that, that's been huge. That's still big, but I would say probably over the past 2 years, now we're rolling in generative artificial intelligence. and we're kind of nearing AGI.
So we're nearing that. Okay, so with that, how do you think it would impact the federal government with introducing it? Like, how is that affecting? Yeah.
I think, I mean, I dedicated my whole like work towards bringing in these generative AI models, which are, I think, going to lead to AGI. And it's kind of funny because I think a lot of people at first, like around ChatGPT time, so that was like 2022, they were like, what's the point of this? Like, who cares about this AI? All it can do is like paperwork. And I was like, but the government is mostly paperwork.
Yeah.
So like, it's, to be able to do that, 30% faster, like that can actually have a huge impact. I've been working with DoD, but I also consult different governors and stuff like that. And just wild use cases like helping like people working in jails and correctional facilities use these chatbots to do paperwork to get people out and release her on good behavior and like all sorts of things that you would just never think of. They're able to do so, and so you're able to just like make government employees that much more productive.
Yeah, and then another thing is like being in the government. I hear about this AI and also some. I don't know if you're familiar with RPA too. So robotic process automation.
Yeah.
So with those tools, I've been seeing the culture has been changing. Like people are scared they're going to lose their jobs. I mean, what's your perspective on the cultural impact?
Yeah, I think that's definitely, it's funny because I think a lot of people have that opinion. They're like, oh my God, this is going to take my job. But then for me, I've used these models so much and I'm like, even if we wanted it to take your job, I don't think it can. Like, it's just not good enough. And so I think my approach has been not just like throwing AI at a problem and throwing it in a black box and hoping it's going to work, but really working with like the analysts, like, I did a project with like security operations centers, actually getting them to use these chatbots and like leverage them instead of it just like fully replacing them. Because that's really, I don't think that's ever going to happen.
Yeah, and then too, it can help create opportunities for people.
Exactly.
Can create a startup.
Yeah, exactly.
Bring it in.
Yep.
But with doing all that, it can create some technical challenges also, like with the ATO process, and that's what we're big in now. We got the
don't trigger me. Yeah.
We got the overlays that's coming for AI soon.
Yeah.
We got all these things. Like, what are some of the technical issues with bringing this in the federal?
Yeah, you talking about like the 800.50? Yeah. That's exactly right. On the technical side, man, ATOs, these your audience probably knows this. These authority to operate are really challenging. You really have to prove towards the government, these authorizing officials or these chief information officers, that your system is really secure. So with AI, there are hardware problems that are really difficult. AI runs on GPUs. Your audience may know like NVIDIA. It's now the largest company in the world, bigger than Apple.
Everybody's a millionaire.
Everyone's, or a billionaire. It's hard to even, they're worth $4 trillion.
Yeah.
It's like,
that's a lot of money.
It's a lot. It's more than I think Apple and Amazon combined. I don't know if it's combined, but still, anyways, it's ridiculous. But to bring those GPUs into like, as you know, the different national security, impact level 5, 6, above that, like all these different places, just logistically is hard. So that's a hardware difficulty. And then on the software side, these AOs and CIOs are like, you want to take this AI and just let it go rogue in some national security system? Like, no way.
Yeah.
Right? So and part of the work I'm doing now with what I launched is figuring out what that path to getting an ATO for some sort of AI system, or people call them AI agents, what that could actually look like. Because CIOs and AOs are authorizing officials. They're going to have to be like very intimately, part of the solution.
Yeah, because that's a good idea actually, to help create AI agents to help running a lot of this stuff.
Yeah.
But it's just the trust factor. It's like, can we really trust AI?
Right now, no. And the reason why is because we don't have any way to test it. And that's a problem, because if we don't have a way to test it, then you can't guarantee it won't do, and all sorts of like really bad behaviors. So with what I launched recently, we're calling it GovBench. Bench stands for benchmark, like a test. we're literally creating mechanisms to test AI, like in national security domains. Hey, in this scenario, what would this AI model do? And that's kind of just the beginning. It's going to take us a long time to get to that full like ATO where everyone feels comfortable. But this is kind of like the building foundational
So you're
block.
building it over time.
That's right. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, and then also too, I wanted to kind of talk about like even with generative AI, it goes off the LMMs, the large language models. They've been introducing someone's like Nipper GPT and all
Yeah.
these things, and they're not good, and they're unpredictable. They don't know what you're going to get. Like, what do you think was the issue is to fix those? 'Cause that's an issue people have with those right now.
Yeah. I'll say these large language models are very powerful, but they weren't intended exclusively for like military use, right? So if you're using it to generate a poem or be less passive aggressive in an email, it's great. Which maybe that's a lot of government work, but if you're trying to do other things like supply chain optimization in the South China Sea, like the large language models weren't trained for and on that, and so to your point, like in order to make the models better with GovBench, we call it AI government alignment, making the AI models work better on like these really random government tasks, military stuff, even things like tariffs, right? If you work at the IRS.
Throwing those out?
Exactly. And it's like the most boring stuff that no one would ever care about, but like that the government runs on. So.
Okay, that's it. Okay, so we're gonna figure that out at some
Hopefully.
point. Hopefully, 'cause it's
Yeah.
like it's all over the place right now, and especially with startups, a lot of VC companies are really trying to get into this space, and they don't understand the government, man. And this is another you got to combine the two.
That's exactly right. That's kind of my biggest frustration is people either know AI and they're kind of AI nerds. I come from Silicon Valley, so I know a lot of them, or they're government nerds out here in DC, but very few people know both. And so I think that's what we're trying to do with GovBench is bridge that gap between them.
No, I love that. So I know you worked at DEF CON. You helped out with red teaming, and I know you're surprised that I know that.
Yeah. I'm like, okay.
So you worked with do some rain teaming. Like, what type of vulnerabilities did you see when you helped out DEF CON, if you're able to say that?
Yeah, it's a public event, and a lot of the vulnerabilities have been disclosed by now. So AI red teaming, we've helped like over the past couple of years, basically trying to figure out like, are there instances where these like things like ChatGPT, when you use them, can you inject things into that prompt that will make them do bad behaviors? So things like that is really what has been explored. And the idea is, as you know, with red teaming, you identify these exploits and then you go and you work with the companies and they try to go patch them. And so that's been great. My thing has been, and what we're working on with GovBench, we actually discovered a vulnerability that we're disclosing this week to national security before we go public next week, but with large language models and Chinese models. But the hard part is you need to have AI red teaming for like military and government use cases specifically. Like it's not good enough to just be like, oh, you can inject a prompt. In our case, what we identified were like, when you're using these ChatGPT for military use, and if you add certain words, it can go really south very quickly. And so that's what we're trying to advocate for is like red teaming these systems specifically on like military domains. Because that's Nipper GPT, one of my best friends is who founded it, Colin, at the Air Force Research Lab. They now have, I think they're approaching 700,000 users, which is, I think, a third of the whole US military. I mean, it's just
That's
a
crazy.
lot of people. So
Yeah, because the biggest thing I'm worried about is injections. And, are those some things that can, like injections or it's because even people say they can mimic AI. Like say sometimes like you can get an AI pretend to be somebody, but you're really not. Is that a thing?
Yeah, and there's something people call them sleeper agents.
Okay.
Which is this idea. It's kind of like those like CIA spy movies where like you say a word and they come alive or something. I guess like in those Avengers movies. It's which sounds crazy, but like there's been a lot of research that like the AI labs have published about being able to say certain phrases to these chatbots, and then all of a sudden they are nefarious. They're trying to do bad things, and right now they don't have access to anything, so it's like it's just research. But you can imagine if we have that connected to like a military system and you activate a secret spy, like that could go really bad really quickly.
Yeah, then too, like even with these AIs in the government, that's why they're not full on working properly.
Yeah.
Because they don't want to put the data out into the wrong place.
Exactly.
Or it's very basic.
Yeah.
Like, very basic. They can barely write an email. So
Yeah, no, I know.
barely write an email.
That's why when people ask me, like I go on talks or whatever, and they're like, the first thing people are like, oh, how are you using AI in the military? Everyone thinks we're talking about like lethal systems, generative AI, ChatGPT connected to like some kinetic drone or whatever. I'm like, people are using it to write emails and they're barely doing that. And so we have a long way to go.
Do you think like AI like get to the point? Because this is what a lot of people, including myself, is worried about. Do you think it'll take? Do you think it can take like an ISO job, like all the jobs? Do you think at some point when it gets to the ASI or super intelligent level, do you think it's possible, or do you think you always need somebody there?
I think we're always going to need somebody there. I just think there will be more tasks that. I look at it like generative intelligence is largely helping software engineers. And people said, oh, software engineering is going to be an outdated profession. But over the past, I would say 3 years, now engineers just move quicker, but it's not like they're being replaced. Now they can just write more code and develop more products. I think it's going to be a pretty similar rollout for like ISOs or like all these other different professions where people think it's going to take their job, but over time they'll realize, okay, well now I can just do more ATOs, or I don't know, I can just move faster, but not like fully replace them.
Yeah, like for example, in the RMS space, have you heard of something called eMaster or like a Parmify?
Yeah.
Like if I could get something to write documentations, man, it took me 6 months to write an SSP.
Yeah.
So I think you can use it more as a tool. I do think if you're not adapting to these tools, you might be left behind.
That's someone had a great phrase: is you won't be replaced by AI, you'll be replaced by someone who knows how to use AI. And I think that's perfectly summarizes it. Like you should be leveraging these tools. You're going to be more productive. It's kind of funny. Some software engineers, for some reason, refuse to use like AI chatbots to help generate code, and I'm just like, okay, then you're just going to be slower. Like I don't, you're kind of left behind.
Okay. So Glenn, how do you if somebody's in the government right now, what are some things you would suggest to them to kind of learn to stay on top of things? Should you learn the generative AI, or should you learn code? What would somebody do?
I would say, and I always recommend, people talk about AI a lot, like it's a scary thing. I'm like, just go use it. Like, just try it out. Go to chatgpt.com right now, experiment with it, see what its limits are, see what it's really good at. The DoD has things like Nipper GPT, and there's other AI chatbots that are coming online, like on Nipper and Zipper, like all the different DoD networks. First, I would just say that go use these chatbots and experiment with it. What we also published a couple of days ago, I literally just published 7 steps to prepare your organization, your government organization for on GovBench. Yeah. And so it's actually I made it into a worksheet so people can fill it out. And the 7 steps, largely touch on go talk to your AO or your CIO and understand what their concerns are, because you're going to have to get it authorized. So you need to know that up front. Go figure out where your data lives. Is it a Microsoft SharePoint? Is it in some Palantir thing? Go write down the different tasks that your government organization does. And break it down, because you're going to want to try to use AI in these different things. So these different, I think what I'm trying to do with GovBench is make it less intimidating to start using AI, not viewing it as some crazy foreign thing, but as something that you could, actually integrate into your day-to-day work.
And that's a good business too. So we're going to touch on it one more in depth later, but that's a good business. Just giving them information, just that can desensitize, because for example, an AxSage, you familiar with them?
Yes.
I want to talk. I've been playing around with AxSage, and I'm like, how do I get them to buy this?
Yeah.
It could save us more time, more money. So I'm like, that's the thing, is just talking to them, getting them educated helps lessen them and make them understand it more.
Exactly. It makes it less of a crazy AI scary thing, and it actually, it's like the rubber meets the road. It really makes it real for them.
Okay. So do you think there's going to be more pushback on the government? Because like for example, I can talk to certain people and they keep pushing back. I don't know we should use, but it's going to.
Yeah.
So, or you think AI is going to eventually take over the whole government? Because with software in the government right now is very outdated. Do you think it'll help update everything?
That's what I'm hoping for, and we're already starting to see different parts of the different research labs in the DoD, like Air Force Research Lab, Army, DARPA. Like they're using AI to actually upgrade essentially their software bases or their software, the code that's written from older uh, programming codes like COBOL and like these very
They still
old
use
things.
that? Oh my goodness!
I think that was from
COBOL?
before I was born.
Oh
Yeah.
my goodness!
But now we can use LLMs and generative AI to convert that to C or Python or like whatever like more modern language is, and that's a huge thing. It's going to take time, and it's not like a one-click solution where it translates everything perfectly, but it can make that translation process like that much quicker.
Okay, and also for me, and this is a question for myself. I'm trying to get into certain AI contracts. So, what would be the best thing to go about getting onto those contracts? Like, do you want to bring it to your system? Do you want to bring it to your team? Do you want to go look who's hiring, or how would I know how to get into that space so you can be up to date on what's going on?
That's a great question, actually. I would say figure out first the different ways that you could almost like inject AI into people's workflows and like the day-to-day work that they do. And then work your way back from that and be like, okay, let's go figure out the contracts that surround that. Maybe you could be a subcontractor on some like larger system and be like, hey, the value I bring is I'm going to layer in AI to make this super annoying. What's a good example? Maybe it's something in the ATO process, or maybe it's some other like really annoying. I don't. Okay. Do you know the 2875
Oh yeah, I know.
form?
Yeah.
Can someone please solve that, because that has to be the most annoying like
Trust me,
thing.
I know.
I've probably sent 1,000 2875s and I still don't have access to anything. So that's like a perfect example of like someone could use AI maybe to streamline that, right? And get a contract from that.
So where you're going at, there's a lot of because even like Zapier, like if somebody can integrate that in the government or create a government version of it,
That'd be
man,
huge.
that's $1 million.
That's a great
business.
idea. Okay,
Like
you know
literally,
what?
yeah, you can actually do it. So go ahead. You know.
Yeah.
So from what I'm seeing, there's a lot of opportunities. There's a lot of jobs.
There's so much.
You can start
Yeah.
your own company.
Yeah.
You can start your own company. Even you can educate them on AI. So what you're kind of explaining is this is kind of a boom right now where everybody needs to get on, right?
Exactly. I think it's the reason why I'm so excited about it. I've like dedicated my whole career to it. Is AI can really, when we talk about artificial general intelligence, it can be applied in all of these different domains. It's not going to solve everything, but from a business perspective, it's like, you know what I mean? It can be layered on top of like every single type of task, whether you're cybersecurity, you do logistics, like whatever it may be. So.
Yeah, because even I was looking at Y Combinator, they're trying to get to the point where a lot of these consulting companies, they're looking for companies that literally just consult, to have an AI consulting company to them.
Yeah.
Which will save a lot of, but I still think you need somebody in person. Because they don't know.
Yeah, I think that's exactly right. And I actually think people say that consultants are going to be the first job that's like automated, but I actually disagree, because I think with like these kind of these people who are at least supposed to be more strategic, they kind of they have a lot of different experiences and can bring context that like AI is just not exposed to, especially in government. Like government or national security, they don't make this stuff public, right? You know, so
very few things.
Yeah, exactly. And so naturally, if these AI models, we talked earlier about how they're trained on public information, if that information is not included in their training, then they're not going to be good at it. So.
Okay, so what are you doing to take advantage of this? Because I know you got GovBench, like whatever things you're doing.
So yeah, we're primarily focused on GovBench. So we brand it, we call it AI government alignment. The idea of taking AI and making it work for like either really boring or just like general government use cases. Because like I said, these AI models aren't trained or optimized for governments. We're trying to use it like Ask Sage and NIPRGPT. They use the same models as like ChatGPT and so forth. But so many times people use those chatbots and it'll say, oh, as an AI model, I'm not authorized to do this military thing, because these AI companies they're kind of nervous to engage in that. So what we're doing with GovBench is like trying to mend that gap, sort of, bring the smartest AI talent with people in government.
Oh, that's smart.
Yeah.
So you're basically finding the talent and you're bringing them to the government.
Yeah,
So like you're
yeah,
kind of like,
pretty much.
is it
Yeah.
like a talent-based network or?
I would say we're more like a research lab sort of thing.
So research, so you're
Yeah.
bringing on a research and you're kind of like, you're doing studies yourself
Mm-hmm.
and you're selling that to the government.
Yes.
Second half. Okay.
So we're technically actually a nonprofit, just because it makes it easier for us to work with vendors and the government side. Honestly, what I'm calling myself, so I work for the Chief AI Office, like under the Secretary of Defense up until I left. And what I found, that was probably the biggest Chief AI Office in the world. I mean, in terms of the budget, and it's like 1,000 people. But AI moves so quickly that these Chief AI Offices in government, they just cannot keep up. So that's what I view GovBench as, is almost like and chief AI officers have actually told me this. They're like, you're probably going to do the work that we want to do, but just can't because we're moved too slow. So
Yeah, it moves like molasses, so.
it's like, I feel bad for them because at the end of the day, they're government employees, and like, just because they're doing AI or they have that title doesn't mean they can just like do things overnight. And so what's been awesome with GovBench is we think of an idea, we put it out, and it's immediate. We don't have to spend years like going through the processes. So
And then you publish a lot of stuff on your website too, so people can read?
exactly. If you go to govbench.ai, that's our website. The next 30 days are going to be insane for us. Like, we're doing a lot. But yeah, that's where people can learn more.
Yeah, so once you check out GovBench, I'm gonna go on there some more time.
I
just
appreciate
to
it.
kind of
Yeah.
check it up. Yeah, because
Yeah.
I need to learn how to prepare.
Yeah.
As a business person, there's always money somewhere.
Yeah,
So I gotta
absolutely.
I gotta be on top of everything ahead of
Yeah,
time.
that's actually, now you're bringing up a good idea. I'm going to provide more resources on kind of the business opportunities there as well, just because I know people want to engage, but it's like, how do you actually, is kind of a different story.
Yeah, because
So,
like even to get in the government, you have to get an ATO. That's one of the reasons.
Exactly,
Or what do
yeah.
you call it, a PA, or you gotta
yeah,
get,
provisional authorization.
you gotta get
yeah.
that. But a lot of people don't even know how to even do that.
I know, yeah. So providing resources, and that's what we're going to be providing over the next month, is like a guide, almost like a playbook on, hey, if you want to authorize, get an ATO for your AI or an AI agent, it's not going to happen overnight, but like, here's that path. So
And then the government gives you money too sometimes. If you present a good idea, they'll give you. I think they give you like 250, depending on the agency. Like a 200.
yeah, oh, like through the small business.
Yeah, small business department.
Yeah, exactly.
I
Yeah,
know,
yeah.
DISA they give you some money if you can get through their wait list.
Yeah. There's great, like, it's, I think CIBERS, right, the small business something program, which give out like 250 to like up to $1 million, and to help you kind of kickstart your stuff, especially if you're doing like government specific work.
Okay, that's cool. Okay, so where can the audience find you at?
I'm on LinkedIn, I guess. My website is glennparham.com, so I usually post everything on there. Post on LinkedIn a lot, maybe a little bit too much, but it's nice to be able to broadcast my ideas. And then I actually started a podcast a few weeks ago myself.
It's a great pod. It's a great pod. I was listening
appreciate
to it the
it,
other day. It was
yeah.
great.
Thank you.
I'm serious about it. It was a great pod.
I'm inspired by you.
Yeah, I appreciate you.
And yeah, this production quality, I need to get like this one day. But it's called Model Citizen, kind of blending my background in AI, national security, trying to make it easier for people to understand. And it's been good for me to like start to communicate this stuff, and not just like as a nerd, but like to an audience which may not be technical and stuff like that. That's super important. So
Yeah, just learning about all this stuff there. Because I was listening to it, I was learning a lot, just sitting there from the government employee perspective.
yeah, exactly.
Because sometimes contractors view sometimes y'all as the bad guy.
Yeah.
But y'all just doing what y'all can do because
Yeah.
you're doing all you can do.
Exactly, and like
seriously.
the government places so many restrictions on, government employees. So it's unfortunate. Like, it's kind of ironic. I feel like I have more influence now on the Pentagon now that I'm outside of it than I was on the inside. I'm like, I wish y'all listened to me when I was there, but okay.
And just so I forgot to ask you, can you touch on some of those issues?
Like in the
Yeah,
Pentagon.
like just working as like a government employee versus
Yeah.
versus being on the outside.
Yeah, I mean, when you're a government employee, I will say, so I worked for the Chief AI Office for the Secretary of Defense for several years. And I think because of how sensitive AI in the military is, like just the optics around it, at least my organization was very nervous. I didn't go speak at all. Like it was very, very locked down. Um, I think, and I think they would agree with this, that was probably not the right call. I think we should be much more transparent about how we're thinking about AI, the future of it, rather than just like hiding behind the Pentagon and being like, oh, well, we have some super secret amazing sauce. What you realize, at least I realize as a government employee, is like in national security world, sometimes they like to project strength and pretend like everything's figured out. And then you go behind the scenes, you're like, oh, the papers are kept in a coal mine shaft? Oh, okay, this is not good.
Literally,
So,
sometimes.
literally. So, cuts us like in an elevator going down a coal mine. I'm like, okay, all right.
Well, you never know. You might go back, might not. But what you're doing is great work.
I appreciate it.
So keep doing it because I'm watching, and I've been watching because I was watching you, and I was like, man, post something.
Yeah.
Like talk more about GovBench. I'm like, I want to know this stuff. I'm like,
I appreciate
I'm
it.
waiting. So
Yeah.
what is your goals for the next 5 years?
That's a good question. I think the two main objectives with GovBench in particular are we want to maximize AI coverage, aka like the number of employees who have access. And by the way, not just like national security. I'm talking people who work in correct like jails. Which sounds. I know people are like, what are they using AI for? Basically, anywhere a government employee, federal, state, or local, school board, all these places, if they have access to email and like Word documents, I think they should have an AI chatbot.
Yeah.
So there's that coverage. But we also want to maximize the value of these chatbots, not just to write an email, but to like help you process construction permits faster, which leads to more permits being granted, which leads to cheaper housing. You know what I mean? Like there's a lot of work to make that happen. But I would say in the next 5 years, if we could boost up, like maybe get to at least 50% of government employees have at least access to these chatbots, and then maybe like realize government employees can move 20% faster, I think that would be huge.
Even
So,
prompt engineering, I can't wait to see what you're doing because even
Yeah.
with prompt engineering, that's another space. Like you're really tapping into something that nobody can really
yeah.
do. So
And I think like things like prompt engineering, I'm like, you can only learn it by doing it.
Yeah.
You just have to experiment with it.
just
So,
play around.
Yep.
But you know how we can be sometimes. We got to kind of show you.
Yeah. Show the art of the possible, and then that's true.
Like what is possible? Like even OpenAI, I didn't even know it can make slides until recently. I was like, you can make whole slideshows out here.
Yeah. It's really good.
Yeah. So what is one quote you want to leave with the audience? It can be a quote, statement, anything you want to leave the audience with.
That's a great question. I think one quote I actually really like is, I have two quotes. So one of them is, I often like to say, progress is not inevitable, it's intentional. I think especially in government, people just assume that the government's going to modernize over time and that, we have all these different capabilities. And that's just not true. We just talked about some pieces of paper kept in coal mine shafts. And yet we're in the year 2025, right? So in order to modernize the government or do AI, it's not just going to magically happen. You have to really do the hard work and make it come to fruition. So that's like one quote. And then the other one is, I think I heard this on some other podcast the other day. What's obvious to you is not obvious to others. And I don't know, for me, that's been kind of how I viewed my experience with AI, where a lot of the things I'm now talking about publicly were like obvious, or I thought was obvious to everyone.
It's not.
But it's not. And like, I should be understanding that, not everyone is going to spend time learning about this stuff. And that's okay. We all have our own, specialties. But, what I can bring to the table is that I do know this domain and I can communicate it to a broader audience. So
And keep doing what you're doing. You'll be surprised. Like even like when it comes to IT, people don't know how to
Yeah.
do certain things,
Yeah.
or even the ATO process. You know, there's some people in the government that still don't know what the ATO process is.
I don't know if anyone knows that.
So that's something you can sell to the government.
Yeah.
So it's always something to sell. So
Exactly.
what you're doing, especially in the AI space, is really life changing, especially because the federal government doesn't adapt anything. And
Yeah.
to see they're even willing to do it, I'm kind of like surprised that they're even going this route. But I will say it's going to create a lot of opportunities if you're taking advantage of it.
I will say one business opportunity that would probably be relevant to like this audience is the DoD CIO they're doing they're trying to basically leverage AI in the ATO process. So I think I know they put out a bunch of stuff and people are bidding on it, but I think there's a huge potential to make money, but not just make money, but like actually, that's probably the biggest bottleneck to modernizing the government. So I would definitely recommend people to look into that.
Yeah, me too. I'm gonna look at it myself. I'm gonna take a look, see if I can use ChatGPT to code something.
Yeah.
Or just get an MVP. You know?
Yeah, at least vibe code. Yeah, for sure.
So Glenn, I appreciate you for give me some of your time to come on this podcast. I really appreciate you coming on.
Yeah, thanks so much. This has been awesome. I was nervous at first because I've never been interviewed, but this has been a really good conversation. So.
Yeah, hey, we just chilling, just trying to have a conversation and figure it out. And in the future, we're definitely going to try to see if we can do it again with the things that you're doing. So if you're willing, hey, you can always come back.
Absolutely. Hopefully, a couple of months or a year from now, where we made a lot of progress. Check us out over the next 30 days. We have some wild stuff coming out.
I'm watching.
So I appreciate it. Yeah.
So with that, thank you everybody for watching the Tech Woke Podcast. Remember, if you're on YouTube, like the video, subscribe to the channel, comment down below, and also share the video. Check out rmfacademy.io if you're trying to learn about RMF and how the process is. Also go on techwokepodcast.com, buy some merch, support the channel so we can have some of these great guests keep coming back on the podcast. And remember everybody, get 1% better every day. Peace out. See you on the next one.